talk about betrayal, we often rush to explanations before we really understand what has happened. People say things like, "It was a lesson," or "It wasn't aligned," or "Everything happens for a reason." And while those phrases can be comforting later, they can be deeply invalidating when the wound is still alive. Because betrayal is not abstract. It is not symbolic. It is not only emotional. Betrayal is something that happens inside real systems, bodies, nervous systems, relationships, and those systems respond in very concrete ways. So before we talk about healing, or meaning, or justice, we need to talk about what actually breaks. When I use the word coherence, I mean something very simple. Coherence is when things line up, when what someone says matches what they do, when what you feel matches what you are shown, when your body can relax because the signals it receives are consistent. In a coherent situation, your nervous system does not have to work overtime. You are not constantly adjusting, interpreting, doubting, or filling in gaps. There is a sense of internal order. Now, a system is just anything made up of parts that influence each other. Your body is a system. A relationship is a system. Even a shared emotional bond is a system. When two people connect deeply, their systems begin to coordinate. When trust forms, it doesn't live only in words or agreements. It lives in patterns, in the body, in memory, in expectation. That's why betrayal doesn't simply end something. It leaves behind threads, sensations, reactions, emotional echoes that don't switch off just because the truth appears. Their rhythms influence each other. Their expectations start to overlap. Their nervous systems learn what to anticipate. This is not poetry. This is biology. And when that coordination is stable, we experience it as safety, closeness, intimacy, or love. But when one person begins to live in two realities at once, saying one thing, doing another, hiding, splitting, withholding, something changes in the system. What enters the system then is noise. Noise is not evil. Noise is inconsistency. It is when signals stop matching, when the system cannot predict what is coming next, when the body has to stay alert because patterns are unstable. This is where betrayal begins. Not at the moment of discovery, but at the moment coherence is broken. One of the most disorienting things about betrayal is that it doesn't stay where it happened. It reaches backward into memory. Suddenly, moments that once felt safe feel questionable. And it reaches forward, making it hard to imagine safety again. This is why people say betrayal changes everything. Not because they are dramatic, but because the system has been altered everywhere at once. And this is very important to say clearly. This break is caused by actions. Betrayal is not an accident of perception. It is not created by someone being too sensitive. It is not erased by calling the connection undefined or unlabeled. Betrayal happens when one person uses closeness without honoring its responsibility. That responsibility exists whether or not there is a contract, a title, or a label. One of the most harmful myths we carry is the idea that harm only counts if a relationship is formally defined, as if pain requires paperwork, as if the body checks marital status before reacting, as if attachment hormones ask whether exclusivity was declared. This is not how human systems work. The nervous system responds to bonding, not to labels. For the person who is betrayed, healing does not mean resolving everything neatly. It means learning to live without denying what happened. It means allowing grief, anger, and confusion to exist without turning them into self-blame or rushing toward forgiveness. Stability comes from restoring coherence inside yourself through rest, boundaries, truth-telling, and support, not from forcing understanding with the person who broke trust. If two people share emotional intimacy, physical closeness, vulnerability, routine, or future-oriented language, the system registers attachment. And once attachment is registered, violation hurts, regardless of whether society has named the relationship. This is why people suffer in situations others dismiss, not because they are exaggerating, but because the system was real. Now, when betrayal actually occurs, when the truth becomes undeniable, People often describe it as a shock. They say they couldn't breathe properly. They couldn't sleep. They lost appetite. They felt dizzy, nauseous, disconnected from their body. This is not metaphorical. Here is what is happening. The brain is constantly predicting what will happen next. It does this to keep us safe. When someone is close to us, the brain builds a model that says, this person is a source of safety, their presence reduces threat. Betrayal shatters that model instantly. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, goes into overdrive. When that happens, the body shifts into survival mode. Sleep becomes shallow or impossible. Appetite disappears or becomes chaotic. The heart races, digestion slows down, and the body stays on alert even when nothing is happening. This is because the brain has marked the source of closeness as a source of danger, so the body does not relax. It scans. This is why betrayal feels exhausting, disorganizing, and physically destabilizing. It is not emotional weakness. It is a nervous system responding to a perceived threat inside what was once safe. It is no longer asking, is this safe? It is shouting, something dangerous just happened inside what I trusted. Cortisol, the stress hormone, floods the system. This is what people mean when they say they feel wired, panicked, or unable to calm down. Vagal withdrawal means the part of the nervous system responsible for rest, digestion, and emotional regulation goes offline. That's why people feel frozen, numb, or unable to soothe themselves. Immune suppression can follow because the body is prioritizing survival over repair. Healing does not mean resolving the paradox. It means learning to live without denying what happened. It means allowing grief without self-blame and clarity without cruelty. It means rebuilding coherence inside yourself, not rushing to restore it with the person who broke it. That's why people get sick, exhausted, or inflamed after emotional trauma. This is not weakness. It is a survival response. And if someone already has a trauma history, abandonment, betrayal, neglect, or chronic insecurity, this shock does not land on neutral ground. It lands on a nervous system that has learned before that closeness can become dangerous. So the reaction is not just about now, it is cumulative. The body is not only responding to the current event, it is responding to a pattern it recognizes. This is why betrayal can feel devastating even when, logically, someone tells you that you should be fine. The system does not speak logic. It speaks safety. Now some people try to resolve this by saying, the real issue is self-betrayal. And yes, there is truth here. But we need to be precise. Self-reflection does not cancel external accountability. It is possible to acknowledge that you ignored signals and still name that someone chose to deceive, withhold, or exploit trust. These two truths coexist. The danger of focusing only on self-betrayal is that it quietly excuses the betrayer. And that is not honest. Betrayal is not just a failure of intuition. It is a failure of integrity. Integrity means your internal world matches your external actions. It means you do not ask another system to synchronize with you while you are split inside. When someone betrays, they introduce incoherence into the shared system. What does that mean in simple terms? It means the reality you were participating in was not the same reality they were managing. You were in one shared story. After betrayal, two people are no longer inside the same version of what happened. For one person, something fundamental broke. For the other, life may feel largely unchanged. This is why reconciliation often fails. Not because one person is cruel, but because they are no longer inhabiting the same reality. They were in multiple, separated ones. And the moment the truth emerges, one reality survives, and the other collapses. When deception enters a bond, the connection loses its internal order. Moments that once carried warmth become charged. The relationship no longer settles into ease. This is what people experience as, it's never the same again. Not because they refuse to move on, but because the system has lost coherence. That collapse feels violent not because you are dramatic, but because the system was reorganized without your consent. This is why people say betrayal makes them question their reality. When someone denies, minimizes, or splits the truth, the mind struggles to reconcile conflicting signals. What you felt and what you were told no longer match. Over time, this creates self-doubt, not because you are confused, but because your perception was repeatedly contradicted. This is why betrayal often comes with a loss of confidence in one's own judgment. The system was forced to adapt to inconsistency, and clarity takes time to return. It's not that they were foolish. It's that they were operating in good faith inside a system that wasn't. Now, what about the person who betrayed? This is where we talk about justice, not as punishment, but as consequence. Betrayal creates fragmentation in the betrayer. To maintain it, they must divide themselves. They must silence empathy. They must rationalize harm. They must rewrite the story so they can live with it. This creates internal incoherence. And incoherence is not stable. From systems theory, work explored by thinkers like Ilya Prigogine and Stuart Kauffman, we know that systems that cannot integrate disruption do not magically resolve. They repeat patterns. They destabilize. They narrow possibilities. This is often what people call karma. Not because the universe is punishing anyone, but because actions restructure systems and systems respond. If you introduce deception into intimacy, intimacy becomes unsafe. If you normalize splitting, coherence becomes difficult. If you avoid accountability, repair does not occur. Can someone who betrays change? Yes, but not through regret alone. Change requires facing the harm without minimizing it. For the person who is betrayed, healing does not mean resolving everything neatly. It means learning to live without denying what happened. It means allowing grief, anger, and confusion to exist without turning them into self-blame or rushing toward forgiveness. Stability comes from restoring coherence inside yourself through rest, boundaries, truth-telling, and support, not from forcing understanding with the person who broke trust. Acknowledging the damage without defending oneself. Engaging in consistent, repair-oriented behavior over time. Most people do not do this, not because they are evil, but because coherence is demanding. Now let's talk about healing the betrayed. Healing does not mean pretending it didn't hurt. It does not mean rising above. It does not mean spiritualizing pain away. Healing means restoring safety inside the system. This begins in the body. Sleep, regulation, grounded connection, predictability. Then meaning can follow. Self-love, in this context, is not affirmation or positivity. It is the act of rebuilding trust with yourself, listening again, slowing down, leaving your perceptions, allowing your body to settle instead of forcing closure. Psychological research, including work synthesized by Antonio Damasio, Lisa Feldman Barrett, and Francisco Varela, shows that healing happens when emotional experience is integrated, not bypassed. You don't heal betrayal by understanding it intellectually. You heal it by allowing the system to reorganize around truth and safety. And this matters, because people who are deep are not naive. They are sensitive. They are responsive. They are capable of resonance. And depth will always suffer more in the presence of dishonesty, not because it is weak, but because it is open. Betrayal is not proof that you trusted wrongly. It is proof that integrity was missing elsewhere. And naming that truth, calmly, clearly, without hatred, is not bitterness. It is coherence returning. If something required you to stay confused, vigilant, or smaller than yourself in order to survive, then something fundamental was already broken. Betrayal did not create that break. It revealed it. And healing begins not when you rush forward, but when you stand firmly in what is real. Now, if this resonated with you, take your time with it. This is not content meant to be consumed quickly. If you want to explore these ideas more deeply, how emotions, relationships, and consciousness interact at the level of the nervous system and the quantum field, you'll find related episodes here on Quantum Life. This video belongs to the Quantum Love and Quantum Emotions series, where we explore attachment, betrayal, intimacy, and healing without bypassing the human experience. And if what you're really looking for right now is stabilization, emotional regulation, clarity, and the return of inner safety, you may want to watch the episodes in the Quantum Emotional Freedom series as well. That playlist focuses specifically on restoring coherence after emotional shock. If you haven't already, you're welcome to subscribe, not for algorithms, but so these conversations can stay connected and accessible when you need them. And if you know someone who is going through something similar, you can share this with them. Not to fix them, just so they know what they're feeling makes sense. I'll see you in the next episode.